Hello and welcome to the New Thought Men's Podcast, where we explore what it is to be a healthy spiritual man today. I'm Eamon. It's great to have you with us. Hello and welcome to the New Thought Men's Podcast. I am Eamon. Today with us is Josh Reeves. Welcome, Josh.
Hey, Eamon. Hey, all the listeners.
So great to have you here with us today for this conversation. You just shared in your sharing for the summit about high traffic, navigating the roads of mind and spirit. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. But before we get into that, I want to just share real briefly a little bit of who you are and where you're at for those who may not know you. So Reverend Josh Reeves is the lead minister at Mile High Church in Lakewood, Colorado. That's milehighchurch.org, my alma mater. And before then, he served as a senior minister of the Seal Beach Center for Spiritual Living in California. And he has written 4 books. We'll give you a little more information about that afterwards. Josh, it's been a pleasure. Mile High is my center for 30 years now. I have loved being a part of it, loved having you be a part of it, and Michelle and Roger and all the ministers, all the amazing people that are there. So glad to have you with us today. So let's jump into it. I loved your metaphor of traffic for our level of kind of consciousness and engagement in life. It's powerful. And I tell you what, it got me a little bit because starting off with your quote from George Carlin is everyone is either an idiot if they're going too slow or a maniac if they're going too fast. And I thought that was, George Carlin always makes me laugh, but how true, and for myself, I am an idiot when I'm going slow, and I am a maniac when I'm going too fast. And it just depends on the day, whether I'm late for something or early for something, or, I find myself either needing or wanting to go faster or wanting to just be able to kind of get out of the traffic and let all the maniacs go by. So share with us a little bit about your talk and your thought process behind your sharing.
Yeah, well, part of what makes a comedian funny is they tell the truth, sometimes a dark truth. And that's what Carlin is doing with that statement. How come everyone driving slower than you is an idiot and everyone driving faster is a maniac? And, we take it as a rhetorical question, but using him a little bit, I'm going to ask us today to answer him. Why is that? And the argument is because we're so damn uncomfortable to be where we are. Right? What is that in the male psyche in particular? Because that's who we're talking to. I'm sure it's true of everybody. But why am I so uncomfortable being where I am? It reminds me of Thomas Merton, who talked about, the greatest fear that so many of us have isn't dying or public speaking, it's the quiet. Right? It's that I would be silent and I would have to face my thoughts, my feelings. And so this thing we call traffic and how we refer to it as being a huge pain, the truth is we invented it. We human beings invented all this traffic so that we didn't have to be where we are. Because if we did, we may have to confront ourselves and we may not like what we see. And yet, Eamon, I know you and I are spiritually aligned. We believe deep down there's some gold there There's some gold in you and me. There's some beauty. There's some truth. There's some divine secrets. But over the layers, there's a lot of bullshit, right? There's a lot of manure.
Yep.
There's a lot of hurt. There's a lot of unsaid stuff. And so, being where we are is so hard. And
Mhm.
even talking to you, because I want to be really, really frank with you as well. I'm reminded of Douglas Adams, and he said, I hope I'm quoting him correct. I may have not wound up where I wanted to go, but I think I've ended up where I needed to be. And
Mm.
that's the other thing about being where you are is, can I accept that I didn't quite get what I wanted. I didn't get that girl. This job didn't work out, but can I accept I'm where I need to be? And when we can do that, the spiritual magic is that life opens up and we see the beauty and we see the thing that we've been looking for to complete us is already there. Right. And the healing is there and the revealing is there. And no. I don't want to, talk like we're on psychedelics when we accept ourselves where we are. But, two questions for us to throw out for everybody experiencing us today is, how comfortable are you being where you are? And how comfortable are you accepting that right now is exactly where you need to be?
Mm. Yeah, two great questions. And I think starting out with how comfortable are you right now, where you're at right now, I think so much, and I'm sure I'm just speaking for myself. So much of my life is like what I'm doing, the to-do list, or what I have to accomplish, or moving forward, or the keeping on time with the schedule, and it can sometimes pull me out of the now. It can sometimes, I can get caught up in that future thinking, of like, oh, there, and I got to be there and doing this, and then this is going to happen. And, that the future thinking, which planning is necessary. But there's almost an escape from reality on some level when we go there, or when we even go into the past too. We're escaping being in the moment. And boy, what if we really started to dig deep? Josh, that's such a profound question, because what if we really started to dig deep about, why am I not present in the moment? What keeps me from doing this? And I think, Eckhart Tolle's work certainly has done a lot with this, and discovering, deepening, and looking at the now moment, right?
And
But I
I
think
think that, oh,
oh, go ahead.
sorry.
No, I think it's just a profound question to ask, because what am I avoiding? Why does my mind want to go towards the future, or why does my mind want to go towards the past? What is it about this now moment that is keeping me from being fully present in it?
Mhm.
And I think that's a question that each of us would need to answer.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Mary Oliver, who could be read a lot in men's work, I don't
Oh
know,
yeah.
but
Oh
she says we've got three selves. The child we were, and
yeah.
I like that, and I love this concept, because people who are in the philosophy of you and I are in, called Science of Mind, we like to think we can change everything, but she's saying that child you were, that's it. You're stuck with him. You're stuck with her, the wounds, everything there. But yeah, that's something, and I think that's sometimes why we're uncomfortable being where we are, because
Mhm.
that child is there and hurting and not feeling safe. And then there's the superficial self, the self of
Yeah.
endless cocktail planning, and, as I'll talk about in a second here, plans. Right, and the superficial self isn't bad, but it's superficial. Or hopefully it's what Alan Watts used to call it. Be a good genuine fake. Can you be a genuine fake, and you have it all in life? And then she says, lastly, there's that part of us that longs for the eternal, and I
Mhm.
love that. But
Mhm.
even when you said we need plans, you didn't quite say it that way. I think you're right. However, I just go to that superficial self. Right.
Mhm.
Uh,
Mhm.
Look at me, Eamon. I have plans. I'm a I'm somebody. And you can even go
Yeah.
back to the creation in the 19th century of pocket watches and time as we know it today.
Mm,
Time
mm,
as we know it as a construct today didn't happen until railroads. And maybe people had watches, but I'll tell you, if I'm in Denver, Colorado, and someone's in Austin, Texas, or even in Pueblo, Colorado, our times are way off. And so, we started inventing these things so that we could agree on the same time, so we can make these important plans, so that we could
mm,
build all of this industry and technology all the way up to the iPhones now out of a sense of self-importance. And are we more
mm.
connected with one another than ever? Yes. However, are we more disconnected from ourselves than ever? And I think that's the question. And all I'm saying is let's find some balance. Let's find some balance between living out in the superficial world and trying to be genuine in it and be successful in it, and getting out of the traffic that isn't of cars, but is in the mind and in the heart, which ultimately, if you're not careful, and I mean this, is a defense mechanism. I
Yes.
got to get into the traffic of the mind so that I don't have to really be where I am and acknowledge who I am in that.
Mm. Because it's almost more comfortable in some ways to be in the distraction. Click the next YouTube, click the next post, squirrel the next thing, whatever it is,
Yeah,
whatever the next
the,
distraction.
the world is filled with either idiots or maniacs, right? And I'm the one sane person in it. Like I mentioned in the message too, if you're on your way to the freeway, you run into three assholes, guess what? You're the asshole, right? And so
You might be.
we try to put ourselves out of the traffic, not realizing that we're creating it, we're
Yeah,
causing it.
yeah, yeah. That's our participation or our choice, right? The thing that we hold so dear in science of mind and new thought of, like, yeah, our actual conscious choice. And to be able to miss that, to be able to, and it's not even miss that, it's more like get caught up in it. For me anyhow, it's more like just get caught up in that. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I take a breath and I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm feeling the stress of the day now. I don't want to be in this traffic anymore.
Mhm.
Where's the off ramp? I need to find a
Yes.
park or a forest or something. Um, but yeah, I loved what your quote was from your daughter, your 5-year-old daughter Nancy. Um, Dad, only adults make plans.
Right.
I was so thinking,
Silly adults.
silly.
Exactly. And that's the great thing about having a kid is, she's my spiritual teacher, especially about traffic. And
Mm,
just this weekend, Eamon, she comes up to me. I don't even know where she is in the room, but she hit me. She hit me
mm,
right on the arm, and it was because I was on my phone.
mm,
Because I was on my
mm,
phone. She's seen me look at that phone too often when she wants her daddy
mm,
looking at her.
mm.
And, there's a part of me that says, tough luck, kid. I got an email to write. I'm not saying it's the most terrible thing in the world, but, she didn't have a phone. She's ready to play. She's ready to be present. And I think it speaks to what we're speaking of is, when you're in heavy traffic, your greatest fear, even going back to Merton, it's not death. Because look at how we handle ourselves in traffic. We're like stunt people, for God's sake. The way
Right.
we risk our lives.
Two
It's
wheels,
not fear. It's not public speaking. Look at the way you are in traffic. F you, get out of my way. No problem speaking up when we're in there. But our fear is being a minute late to
yeah,
anything.
yeah.
What if I'm late? And we get so caught up on that. And I'll just give one example of this where my daughter, broke my heart with grace, I guess is the way to say it, is because she knows the tone, and it's time to go to school and it's time to go to work. And I go, Nancy, put your boots on. It's time to get in the car. She gets quiet. She puts those boots on, and we're driving, and she's in the car seat in the back, and she said, Daddy, can I tell you something? Yes,
Mhm.
sweetheart. What? Daddy, I just want you to know that even when you're mean to me, I forgive you. And,
Oh.
I that's what I say in that moment, I was saved. This is what salvation feels like, this moment of grace by this, little bodhisattva, this Jedi in a car seat, just
Oh,
just
man.
just there. But I know deep down what she means, because 'cause she'll say that from time to time, "Daddy, you're
Mm,
being mean." And I know I'm not being mean, I'm being direct, but what she's saying is, there's a big difference, Daddy, between saying, "Get in the car, I have a place to be," and,
mm,
"Can you get in the car so that we can drive somewhere together?" Right? She
yeah.
intuitively knows the difference between if I'm focused on a plan and focused on being with her, and I can tell you, for as focused as I am on my plans, I can't remember a damn one of them looking
Mm,
back, but I can tell you what the most important thing for me is, and that's being and enjoying and creating sacred time with Nancy June. So we have these teachers in life that are often called children. They can be other folks too, that can help us realize, man, just like you were saying, it's time to get off at the next exit here, uh, or to realize, I can't control,
mm,
right? I can't speed up. There's all this traffic in my life, but I can make a different choice. And even though I can't speed up, I can slow down, and accept where I am and find some balance there and start creating again, and not be so affected by the traffic, because traffic is not all there is. There's something else that is all that is, and it's always there if we can listen to it.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Um, boy, I was watching this I forget it's podcast or something, and it was like, and just your interaction with you and Nancy. I mean, how sweet, how beautiful. But they were talking about the having the phone, and how oftentimes it's like, when we as adults are modeling that the phone is more important than you are right now, and instead of being present and with Nancy as you're driving, or whoever it would be, then the phone's out, and it's like, okay, following the map, and all the focus is on the phone, and the teens are in the back with their phones. Everybody's kind of got their own phone, and it's just like the teaching that we're saying is the technology is the important thing. And we see this outpicturing. I think the point of the podcast is we're seeing this outpicturing of the phone is was the most important thing that's happening, and that is the focus. And now, with these younger generations that are coming up, that is like the everything to them. That's their whole social life. That's their whole experience. um, the phone is that has become that what used to be, for me, and back in the day, and maybe for you as well, but for others, just like being able to go. And I was talking to one of the other speakers about this just the other day, like to go out across the field and go play in the field. We had a field across from our house,
Mhm.
and to have fun, to go catch frogs in the creek, and go climb the tree. And it's just, it's the whole world exists on that device now for young people.
And
And so we're wondering what's the disconnect? Why
mhm.
are these kids having trouble adjusting and social, and acclimating and being out there in the world and having connection, or even having rejection sometimes? uh,
Mhm.
and the struggles, I think, that at least that I see the younger generations going through right now.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you that prioritizing the technology, but to even scare us more, if I might, in the darkness of there,
Sure, why
perhaps
not?
it isn't that the phone is the most important thing, but I no longer know how to make you the most important
Mhm.
thing.
Ooh,
We have mostly men listening to us, but let's throw out a term: spiritual impotence.
Mm, mm,
Spiritual impotence. I am in the moment, but I'm incapable of enjoying it because I'm, practicing an addiction to this thing. I don't want to check my freaking email again. I can't control myself, whatever it may be. And so it's the addictive um, nature of these things that get us not only incapable of being fully present, but kind of terrified of it. And I'll
mm,
just admit, and I'm a pretty present dude. uh,
yeah,
and there are times when I see my daughter, and I am a little afraid. I'm a
yeah.
little afraid that I'm not going to be able to be as present to her as I want to because of the traffic of life and all of these things constantly shouting out for my attention. And it speaks exactly into what you're talking about. Climb a tree, climb a climb a tree,
What?
roll in the grass. These sound like simple activities, but for especially young men these days, but a lot of us who are getting older too, these are things that we do not have the comprehension any longer to do. And so it takes those spiritual practices and those accepting being where we are to get it up spiritually again,
Spiritually speaking.
re-engage well, and yes, and have intimacy with our lives again. There's nothing
Yeah.
there's a lot of connection, there's a lot of stuff on the phone, and I still argue with my wife, and I've lost this argument, but text messaging, don't text me something emotional over the phone. Are you kidding me? And now I write long, dear sweetheart, last night when and so I fall into that. But I still would argue intimacy is real human connection with
Mm,
through the senses and with earth and with nature and with feeling. And technology is a medium. But if we're not careful, we're going to think it's our sixth sense. We're going to think it's like our smell or
right.
like our test and our taste, and we can't live without it. But guess what? There's a reason we don't have 25 senses. The ones that we have work pretty well enough if you know how to use them. And that's where the impotence, honestly, that
Yeah.
can come in too. We've so disconnected from our bodies by seeing it as technology around us and the traffic that we lose ourselves. So I hope I scared somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, not to go down the rabbit hole even deeper, but with with AI and everything that's coming out, and I mean that you can create a reality in a few seconds. You can create a whole different reality. It's just, I think it's just going to be a whole new level of what reality are we grounded in? How do we really be in this now moment, be in this physical body, and have our own unique thoughts and our own unique feelings? Um, yeah, there is a degree of that if that when we're acclimated to it, in other words, growing up in that,
Mhm.
it's the normalcy, right? I mean, back
And
in the day, we had a telephone on the wall that had a cord. It was the long, stretchy cord that you would literally take it to a whole other room, but it was still attached to the wall in the kitchen. And that's what I grew up with, fortunately.
Mhm.
All
Hang up the
my
phone, mom. I
failures.
know you're there, mom. Hang up the phone.
Right. Hang up
I
the
know you're
phone, Mom.
listening.
I'm on the phone.
Well, and no, please finish your point. I'm sorry, Eamon.
Yeah, no, it's just like, unfortunately, they didn't have cameras. Like all of my falling on my face, and all of my mistakes, and all of my, all the things that we learned through having those mistakes weren't actually filmed and then put on, TikTok or YouTube, or as my embarrassing highlight moments of Eamon. Oh, thank you very much. I didn't want to exactly relive those.
They save those right for the moment of death, and immediately there's just a theme song, and I don't know. I meant to do a comedy, and I did more Super Mario Brothers there. But you mentioned it. I'm mentioning AI. Artificial intelligence, how perfect for us, because we
Mm,
know that artificial intelligence, the one thing it doesn't have is sincerity. It
mm,
doesn't have authenticity. And
yeah.
what we need to as human beings is to make sure we're not saying the same thing about ourselves, that I'm not only superficiality. And so heading to a point where AI can give a better Sunday message than I can.
Mm.
Right. That AI, Josh, can look better than me, can talk to my wife in a way that resonates with her more than me. All of these things that, although I hope I approach with authenticity, ultimately are going to tell me the truth I don't want to hear, is that my superficial self isn't real. It never was. It was fun. Do the best you can. But if you want something unique and special, you better get authentic real quick,
Yeah.
transparent, and real. And going back to where we started the discussion, it starts with, can I be where I am? And then, in life, you can say, I may not know where I'm going, but I think I know how to get there. And that's by bringing forth the virtues within us. Those sincere things, and then the artificial intelligence doesn't feel so dangerous anymore.
Yeah. Oh. That's the gift. That's who we're here to be, is our authentic selves, and to show up and to get to live the lives and be present in the falling on the face moments, and in the beautiful moments of being together and enjoying life, and being in the park, and also being in the traffic on the freeway some days too.
Okay. For me, sometimes the beautiful moments of falling on my face,
Yeah, right. Well, you talked a little bit about a few other things, and I'd love to maybe talk a little bit more about those. Like, how do we slow ourselves down? Like you talked about, we can't necessarily, sometimes we can't speed up if we're in traffic, but we can slow down. And I love that metaphor of what is the inner pace that you want to go at, or what is the inner pace, your ideal inner pace. I took these relationship classes, these are like maybe 15 years ago or something, and that was one of the identifiers, is from 1 to 100, what is your pacing? And it's kind of interesting, because it's like the normal pace for me is probably 35 to 45. But of course, you can ramp that up, right? You get on a freeway with a bunch of other people that are go, 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 got to be somewhere, or you're in a highly mobile situation where you need to kind of keep things moving along. You can get wrapped up in that quicker pace, and forget that, or eventually you find your way back to your normal pace, because you're slowing down and needing to take that breath and find your natural pace. But just talk about the authentic pace for a moment, Josh.
Yeah, and it sounds silly to say that the best way to speed up is to slow down. The best way to speed up is to slow down, and it sounds funny, but traffic begins because we have plans somewhere we need to get to, and we begin to experience traffic when we are no longer able to travel at the pace that feels most organic and natural and authentic to us. And yes, pace can look like how fast or how slow you walk. And I think I shared in the talk that I could probably narrow down 85% of the fights I have with my spouse are about pace, because I move faster with excitement and exploration. I embody, my wife would say, the gorilla. I'm a little aggressive about it. I like to go, go, go. And she's a turtle. She's slow. She likes to take her time. She doesn't want to do a whole lot of thinking. And as I mentioned in the talk too, all of that means wait to me. When I hear, can we slow down? All I hear is wait. That pace you're going, there's something wrong with it. There's something wrong with you. And I'm like, April, come on, hurry up, and so we have to try and find that middle ground, or traffic begins. However, I hope the overall message is that when you're in traffic and you're thrown off your pace, even though you're not going at the physical speed you want to, doesn't mean that you don't have an intellectual, creative, spiritual flow that you can tap into, be it, a book on tape, or whatever, Audible. I'm sorry, I'm stuck in 1989, or podcasts you listen to, or calling up a friend on the phone. If you can get back to that mental pacing, then you're no longer giving up your power to the traffic of the moment. And this also speaks to that idea of I am not in control, but I'm always at choice. I am not here to control the conditions of my life. When I get into that, it means I'm in my role of dysfunction. I'm living from fear. When I'm in my role of empowerment, I'm in trust. I'm going with the flow. I know I'm going to get where I'm wanting to go eventually, and I'm not giving up who I am. And sorry if I'm blathering, but
No.
a great minister in our movement, his name is David Bruner, and I was listening to him share one time, and he had this great little affirmation that needs explaining, but it goes like this: things can go wrong, but I can't go wrong. Things can go wrong and I can't go wrong. I love that. And it's about composure. It's not about not making mistakes. We make them all the time. But in ministry, especially when little Berta has me saying, hey, you're doing that wrong. Hey, I can't meet with you right now. I have an important sermon to give. When she isn't put first by her minister and I raise my voice, or I'm being kind of asinine, it is a unique kind of wound that's worse than just so-and-so being that way. And so, I use that as a mantra. Yeah, did the music suck at service today? Or did the fundraiser not make as much money as we want? Hey, things can go wrong. I can't go wrong. I have to keep composure. And that's part of being in traffic. I'm not in control of this condition, but I have a choice about the composure that I'm going to practice. And when we choose what that is, our true pace reveals itself again, and we're back in that flow in a way that can really assist us. The relationship part, what it means to be in my flow and you in a different pace next to me, out of my pay grade. I don't know how to address that.
Yeah. I don't know that I have an answer for that either, other than, I think we can, when we choose, we can meet each other's pacing. And sometimes we need to do that. And other times we don't need to do that. But I loved what you were talking about, which is one of your other.
What sexuality is, Eamon.
What's that?
I wonder if that's what sexuality is. Meeting each other at our pace, right? Trying to find one pace together. So I don't know, something to think about.
Yeah, intimacy, definitely a part of that. In my experience, anyhow, if you're not meeting each other at least somewhat in the pace where you're at, if you can't find that happy medium of being able to either slow down or speed up, to meet in the middle somewhere, then I think that's when the challenges can happen, in my experience anyhow, of relationships. So
in my relationship, the complications of imagining a gorilla and a turtle making love is a challenge. But it has happened. We have physical living evidence.
You have biological evidence of this with your kids. Okay, so we're going to move on before we get stuck somewhere we don't want to be. But and you were talking about this. This was another one of your pieces, was control versus choice. Like we are not recognizing that we are not in control most of the time. As much as the illusion appeals to many of us, myself included, and some might say us as humans have an obsession with it to a certain extent, of having things in our control, and that really is an illusion to a certain extent, and that we may have a choice around that, but to truly be in control, I think is Hey, boy.
Gibran put it so well. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Interrupt you
Go ahead.
again. Gibran put it so well when he said that, our anxiety about the future isn't about the future. It's about our inability to control it, and at the heart, we could argue of all pragmatic spirituality is the release of control. And Amy, because we were talking, I just lost my dad recently. Man, is that not just a loss of daddy, but boy, I want to help dad. I want to, say, oh, it was his time to go. Gosh, can I accept where I need to be? And then I share with you too that a couple of days ago, my car got stolen. Talk
Yeah.
about not only losing my car, but a total gut sucker punch to remind me that I'm not in control. And
Mm,
just last night, speaking a little off the cuff here, I can't sleep because, you know, I'm already grieving in this violation of having the car stolen. I'm not feeling safe. Gosh, what if someone breaks in the door? Is my daughter okay? Is her window closed? Is the sliding glass door closed? And I go in and I make sure it's locked and I check it. And I'm realizing I can only protect her so much.
yeah.
There's only so I'm not in control. I'm not in control, but I am at choice. To say, am I prepared as possible to protect her in every given situation that I can? Yeah, I'm doing my best. Do I trust the divine spirit is with her, guiding her? But especially, and I'm sure it's true of the female ego too. But our male egos, we get false, superficial power through thinking that we can control. And in that, we lose authenticity. But when we can choose the vulnerability, the transparency, we what really comes forth is our spiritual strength. It's our ability to rise above the traffic, even when we're going to be in it for a couple hours, right?
Yeah.
And to transcend those difficult times in our lives where even when we're feeling broken, it doesn't feel good to know we're not in control. However, how wonderful it is to be free, to say,
Yeah.
man, I'm not in control, this is great. And now I can just enjoy my life.
Yeah. Yeah. And I agree with you, Josh. I think there is, like, especially something for us as men to be able to recognize that control, and there has been a lot of it over centuries and centuries of development of us, as beings, as human beings, of that. The more we can let go of the illusions of what we're supposed to be in this male kind of experience. Oh, guy is supposed to be in charge, right? He's supposed to be, we call it the lone wolf. He's supposed to be supposed to be able to do anything that he can do. You're supposed to be able to lift the car and chase the burglar that just stole your car, and wrestle him to the ground, and have the S on your chest. And the truth is that, those kinds of, and not that people can't do that. If you have skills and you want to do that, if that's your goal, hey, great. But for me, I think I want to be less in control so that I can be more in choice, so that I can recognize, hey, this is a vulnerability for me. I may not be strong here, where I don't need to put up this facade of, okay, I got this, or I'm in control. And we see it happen all the time. I still do it all the time. Like, even on an intellectual side, about the knowingness of something, or even the feeling side, about, for us as men, of not feeling the emotions, so that we can be that warrior and step forward if we need to, and be in action. But it doesn't honor the authentic self. It doesn't honor that whole self of us, of, yeah, what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking, what's going on in my kinesthetic, my body knowledge. and to know that, and I loved what you said. The spiritual practice on some level is about letting go of control. I mean, that's like the final step of a spiritual mind treatment. Like, I let go. I'm releasing this. I don't have attachment to it. The Buddhists have a whole doctrine around it of non-attachment and just being, and letting go and not having desire, not having, all these things, and not having control, but having surrender and choice instead. So, yeah.
Well said. Well said.
Brilliant stuff. And then I think the final thing in what you were sharing was just appreciating the moment. I think that's a powerful piece. And we already talked about Eckhart Tolle, but yeah, that's a powerful piece that he's really focused on, about just being in the now. Share some wisdom about that, being in the now, with us, if you.
Well, that my thing, and maybe it's in the spirit of Carlin for the message too, is to take the opposite route and say, try to be not now. Do your damnedest to not be in the present moment. And at some level, it's kind of impossible. But the way I articulate it in the message is see if you can remove waiting in your life, right? Because yes, I can be in this moment. And, when Tolle talks about a now, oh my God, it feels so good and spectacular. And for me, it's, I'm waiting for the line to move in Chick-fil-A so I can get my stuff or whatever it may be. But what starts me off in traffic is this feeling that I'm waiting. And so I have a little saying that says, don't wait, meditate. Don't wait, appreciate. Don't wait, accentuate. And so, if I'm in a moment and I'm waiting for my partner to get ready, what does it mean to sit down and just take some deep breaths and have 3 minutes of meditation? What does it mean to not have my phone, but have a good book with me? We got to remember those, or to be writing a letter to a friend, and to appreciate the moment, or to accentuate. My congregation knows that I love from time to time take a little chocolate bar and just eat it really, really slow, accentuate that moment. And so by refusing to wait, I allow myself to be in the moment. And as I was saying earlier, it's funny how things speed up, and I know this isn't good for this day and era, but that would be the example I would use is in the early or mid 90s, smoking cigarette. If I light a cigarette, the bus comes, you're sitting there waiting for the bus forever. If you light a cigarette, it pulls right up. And there's all sorts of other laws of physics, like that make things happen. But if we can just stop waiting, things become okay now. We can accept ourselves in the now, and then things get moving within us and around us. And if we're not where we're supposed to be, boy, we're on our way.
Yeah. Beautifully said. So I've been asking other guys that I've had on the podcast this question to kind of wrap things up for today. It's been a great conversation, Josh. Thanks so much.
Well, thank you.
But it goes like this: what does healthy masculinity look like in the 21st century?
I think it's a great question. My answer in this moment is total self-acceptance. Total self-acceptance. There's something older men have, old school men have, for all of their judgment and Archie Bunkerness. When I think of a man, I think of sometimes someone old school, and even though they're flawed, and even though they're judgmental, they accept themselves. They're not afraid to take their shirt off. They're not afraid to express a view that's not popular. I am who I am. There's this type of energy. And so that's part of where that comes from, someone who's just really sincere and authentic. But for the man that is emerging, how do you balance that self-acceptance in a way that honors the authentic self that needs to emerge, the man of compassion, the man of listening, the man of being proud of others and seeing and witnessing others. And so for me, that's what it is. I want to balance that self-acceptance of good friends that I have, and overcoming the anxieties that get in the way of that, while at the same time embodying not the misogyny, right, that can come with our kind, but stepping into a new level of being, that shows up. I have aim in a professional creed. I fail at it every day, so please don't. I am not the emerging man. I'll tell you that.
Well, we
Goes
all
like,
are.
yeah. Oh, we all. Ooh, thank you. Saved by the bell. It goes like this: that I practice genuine honesty and professional intimacy. That's how I
Mm,
want to show up
mm,
in my professional life, and to a degree in my personal life. I want to genuinely be honest. I want to be transparent. Why do I need to hide anything from you? If you don't get me, you don't get me. I'm not
mm,
worried about offending you. And Carl Rogers was right. When we share that thing within us that we're scared people are going to judge, it's the thing that most resonates with them. So
mm,
genuine honesty, and then professional intimacy. Notice that word professional. Don't be weird about it. you know Guys, don't be weird about it,
so
but just don't be afraid to acknowledge someone, to share a feeling, to lift somebody up, and
yeah,
especially as a minister, that's what I'm supposed to do, I say that because it breaks down some of the superficiality. It demands self-acceptance to be able to do it, and it demands embracing those higher virtues. So there's my long old answer to your simple question.
nice. It's a good one. It's a good one. The authentic self. Yeah. Just getting to what I take from that is just getting to be our authentic selves, and stand in our strengths, and also be willing to be vulnerable, to be authentic, to be genuine, to be empathetic, or feeling, or, the things that even might go against the even the current kind of consciousness of what masculinity is, to be able to hold those higher virtues, and those deeper understandings of that which we are. And I think for us, especially as as new thoughters, to hold that higher vision, to see that in everyone, to know that even if we are frustrated with them, like, we can be upset and frustrated and still bless. We can be angry and still love. I love paradox in I think spirit is, to a certain degree, must have a great sense of humor, because we have paradox. So where two opposite things can be existing at the same time.
Right.
Well, anyhow, Josh, thank you so much for your time. I love you guys. I love everything that's going on at Mile High. I love you. I saw this weekend, I was down, and you guys are doing an inner child journey. How awesome. I'm glad that's coming back, because that was the first thing I did at Mile High Church
Oh, cool. I
with
didn't know that
Roger
about you.
30
Yeah.
years ago, and changed my whole life. Oh, beautiful stuff.
That's
Beautiful
awesome.
stuff.
It's a special place here. I'm blessed to be here. I don't know how I got here, why I'm here, whatever it is, but it's going well so far, and it's a good place to be. And I get to help caretake for a lot of people's church, and it's a great honor to get to be a part of taking care of it and stewarding it into its next greater yet to be.
Yes. And we are honored by having you there, Josh. You are a blessing, and your authenticity and how you show up is powerful and palpable and necessary. So I'm glad you're there, brother.
Thank you. Keep doing. Thanks for including me in this great work that you're doing, and excited to watch it and support it and be a part of it.
You bet. Well, that's it for today. Thank you for being with us. There's more to come, and stay tuned in. I hope you enjoyed this interview from the New Thought Men's podcast. For instant access to all podcast interviews, talks from our summit, men's groups, and so much more, join us at newthoughtmens.community. Thanks so much for being with us today. There's more to come, so stay tuned in.